Hello and welcome to episode 3 of The Things I See, hosted by yours truly, Clarity Ray. This is going to be yet another solo episode where you get to spend personal time with me, and I'm actually quite excited about it. I was trying to set up an interview. In fact, I had 2 people lined up, and one wasn't able to come, unfortunately, and we have another episode planned. And with the other, I could tell showing up that the vibe wasn't quite right, and I was left with a decision. Do I force the vibe to get this interview, to not do this alone? Or do I do it with all of you and me? And, do it alone, as you can say, but it really brought up what the subject should even be. I had this whole subject planned about the 3 types of empathy and how to traverse the world in the 3 dimension, where previously in episode 2 I talked about how the 2nd dimension of conscious is us and our reflection. 1D being us, 2D being us and our reflection, and 3D being the shared reflection. It's how we interact with others. But I decided to do something a little less serious. This is definitely a pull from the 3 of Cups in Tarot, but instead of focusing on the specifics and how to navigate the 3rd dimension, it's just celebration, fun. Today we're going to talk about what makes fun such a sacred thing and how important it is for the healing process. I'm really excited to talk about this too, because one of the biggest lessons I had to learn in life was through a mistake. And it was not having fun through almost all of my healing process. I took it so religiously and held on to it so absolutely stiffly, and it made it miserable. And healing's not supposed to be miserable. It takes all of the sacred joy out of it, and it makes you heal slower. Because you technically heal faster, but then your body needs to catch up with how much you rushed it, and then you're just behind because you rushed it. It removes all of the fun, and it makes you wait for the progress. So this episode is going to be about having fun. We're going to do a meditation I just whipped up. It's based on the 3 of Cups. And then after that, the rest of the episode, I'm going to be doing art. And I hope you, if you have the time and availability, even if it's not doing art, whether you're at work, whether you're driving, I hope you can take the time to have some fun with it. Be a little more mindful about how every moment of life is worth having fun through. Whether it's through spontaneity, innocence, or playfulness, everything can be fun. And once everything is fun, everything is sacred. So to start with this meditation, I'd like for you to get in a comfy position, preferably sitting. You can be laying as well. And we're just going to start, as usual, focusing on our breath. With each inhale, we bring in peace and relaxation. In each exhale, we let out worry, we let out stress, and we allow ourselves to sink deeper into an even more relaxed state. Each time we allow our chest to sink back in, we feel our shoulders drop a bit more. With each exhale, we feel our jaw loosen up a bit. Each exhale, allowing our tongue to drop, our face to loosen up. And as we follow these breaths, this next exhale is going to allow our eyelids to also relax and drop down. To start, we're going to pull that awareness around our relaxed eyelids. We're going to pull that slightly upwards to the top of our head, but still inside of it. And at the very top of your head, I want you to imagine a cup, a goblet, if you will. This is going to be one of 3 cups. This cup at the very top is for gratitude. It stands for mindfulness, the effort we put in, and the things that we directly manifest out of it. I want you to imagine energy flowing into this cup, whether it's from above or from below. It moves around and flows its way into this cup. And as this cup gets more and more full, we don't want to stop it. We want it to flow abundantly. And as that energy fills this cup, it overflows, and that overflowing energy of gratitude, mindfulness, of absolute joy spills over that cup, and it goes down to the next cup, which is at our heart. All of that overflowing energy of gratitude overflows and starts filling this second cup of heart. This cup is for love. It is for the abundant love that we get to share unconditionally. It starts with mindfulness and gratitude oftentimes. To consistently keep this cup full and abundant, we have to let it. And as that energy drops down to our heart and it fills up this second cup, we feel this love blossoming inside of us. This extremely abundant and high vibrational love then overflows from this cup, and it overflows down our body and drops into the third cup, which is in our sacral. This third cup is fun. It is play. It is joy. It is innocence. It is compassion without restraint. This is where the love truly becomes unconditional, because it becomes spontaneous, it becomes fun, and it becomes full. This energy overflowing from this cup of gratitude to this cup of love to this cup of play. And as you feel this cup of play fill up more and more, it also fills up abundantly. This energy then overflows from that final third cup and collects at our pelvic floor. This energy, full of gratitude, love, and play, starts filling up from our pelvic floor, and it fills up more and more, rising up our body, through our spine, through our back, through our stomach, through our ribs, through our chest, through our lungs, through our shoulders, and through our arms. As this overflowing energy brings abundant gratitude, abundant love, and abundant play, we feel it fill us up all the way to the top of our very being. And as it fills up to the very top of our being, you'll feel it overflow from your very being, unconditionally, and with more than enough. This gratitude, love, and play overflows from us and reaches out into the world, not just the world we know, but even the world we don't know. It flows out freely, without discrimination, unconditionally for all to have. Our cups are full, and so are we. And we allow that to extend out of us infinitely. And as we feel that energy pooling around us for the world to share with us, we want to feel this experience of fullness, the experience of gratitude, of love, and of play. We want to hold on to that at our very center, at our core, at our solar plexus, that this is a part of who we are. There is more than enough energy to go around, and we share it unconditionally. And from this point, carrying that feeling and this energy through the rest of our day, it is now time to step by step return back to our bodies. Starting from our very core and moving out back into the three-dimensional space, we're going to start at 0 and count up to 5. Starting at 0, we hold on to that feeling that we have created within ourselves. 1, we remember that this feeling can be shared unconditionally and freely. 2, we feel it in our physical body. 3, we feel the breath that feeds that energy. 4, we feel our nerves, our skin, and our muscle, and we remember the room we're in. And 5, eyes open, wide awake, we are fully back and we are present, ready to continue our day with this new, blissful, grateful, loving, playful energy. I hope you enjoyed that meditation. Please feel free in the comments to share your experience if you would like. My favorite thing about this podcast is the goal isn't to talk about what other people see. It's to get the audience to start seeing the way others see. We're all connected in one giant web, and all experiences that get shared connect you to everyone who shared the same experience. So share. Be open. Pour it out into the world, and the world will need it more than you can fully understand. There, of course, always needs to be more gratitude, love, and play. So, share that and keep sharing it. So, for today's art, and for this topic about bringing playfulness into every moment of life, into our healing, into our sacred situations, if you can, pick up a notebook, draw a little bit, maybe paint, maybe dance. Let this expression of fun flow through you. I'm going to be working on a project using some sigils. If you're interested in joining in, I'm specifically using a sigil script I made myself. It is called Polygon Sigilism. You can find it absolutely free. All the rules for free. The entire translation sheet is free. It is on my website, guidedbyclarity.com. There will be a link in the description. You can feel free to click on that for specifically Polygon Sigilism. And in essence, it's instead of per se like creating an English copycat language where it's different symbols for English, or rather than using classic sigilism like with Wicca, it instead works with phonetics. Phonetics are the sounds we make rather than the letters that make the sounds in the language. So it has all of the consonants and all of the vowels. So instead of it is, instead of like an I for you draw a line that is the sound I. So instead of the two O's like in good or in door, both of those are different phonetics for and or. And with this, each piece of every word you have to sound out. So as you're writing this sigil, you're sounding it out, and it brings that much more attentiveness and that much more mindfulness to the sigil you're creating. There is no rushing it. There is only sounding it out and connecting to the sound that is connecting to each word you're manifesting. And let's start the topic of fun right there. This is a sigil script I've been working on for over a year, and while it definitely is rather technical, I happen to be a fan of technical things, it is unbelievably fun. I started it on a whim when I was traveling full-time, and when I was on Mount Shasta. It came to me in not even quite a download, more just an intuitive inspiration. Something just called me to it. I didn't just get the information, I got called to seek and find. And that's part of play. It's not knowing, but being willing to find out. That act of spontaneity where I made this system on the first day, but the system wasn't complete. And I knew it. I knew that it would require some more work. And the reason it took a full year to get to the third version is because it wasn't fun to force myself to keep doing it. Each time I would update it, the second and the third time, were absolutely at the right time, and it's because I waited for it to be fun. Spontaneity is a great tool, but spontaneity also tells us what does and doesn't need to be done, what does and doesn't require our focus. And the beautiful thing about this is it was completely on my pace. No one was waiting on me to do it. No one was expecting anything, and I didn't expect it of myself. Especially when it comes to things that are artistic. People often wind up in an art block, but it's just our brain saying it is no longer inspired. So we have two options. We can either drill, get really good at what we do, integrate it into our body so we can get more inspiration faster, or we can wait. We can smell the flowers. We can enjoy ourselves in between these spontaneous moments. There's spontaneous objectives of, oh, I'm going to do this right now. That makes it fun. And then there's spontaneously doing nothing. And nothing being smelling the flowers, taking a walk. It's spontaneously doing something that isn't a break, but brings us joy. And that's the key to having fun. Fun isn't ever going to be found in watching TV. It's going to be a break. It's going to be relaxing. But fun is found in breaking that routine and doing something different. But not something we're forced to do or expected to do or something we feel must be done. And with those specific keywords and understanding comes the healing. Healing oftentimes comes with a lot of expectation from ourselves. When we live in a state of trauma, our physical brain is built differently, and it can be absolutely haunting to sit with it. This is from my own experience, of course, when I say we. When you're sitting in that trauma, it's really easy to try and run from it. And when you discover healing, there's a certain catharsis, there's a certain freedom, there's a certain, I don't want to call it a high, but it is just about a high that comes from that healing, that mending, that fixing. It becomes a bit of a pursuit. But it is not a pursuit of happiness, it is a pursuit of healing, of progress. And when we pursue progress, it's not as much about the healing being done right as much as it is getting it done. And it's super duper important that we pace ourselves. All healing can be done with blissful fun. We just have to ease ourselves into it, give ourselves breaks. There's this meditation I had in the last podcast, and I'm going to be making a YouTube video shortly so people can listen to it freely. It is called The Mirror Room. And I made the, not per se mistake, but I made the decision to rush through the mirror room because it is a way of letting go of past versions of yourself. And there's something about letting go of past identities in this room that is so immediate and so cathartic and so beautiful. Often people cry coming out of the room. I've cried. Every room I entered brought me to tears. Every single mirror room. And it's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful thing, but I started doing it once every 2 weeks. As soon as that catharsis would fade and I would feel those traumatized selves within me that wanted to be let go, I would make it a priority to rush it. Let them go as fast as possible so I can be free. It became more of a task to do. An emotional task, a beautiful task, a healing task, but a task nonetheless. And as it stands, I currently advise people to only do this meditation once every 1 to 2 months. I rushed it, and there was indeed a consequence. My mind moved faster than my body was able to keep up. There's a lot of beautiful cathartic moments I didn't sit and enjoy. I ran through them in order to get to the next catharsis, rather than enjoying the emotions I was given, which all emotions are an experience and all experiences are miracles. I was discounting the miracle of my emotions, of life, of all this joy I had the opportunity to feel. I made it really difficult on myself to focus more on the letting go than I did the enjoying what happens when you let go. So with this meditation, I've had people right after it, I guide them through it, tell me, all right, let's do it again. And I have to break the news to them. I will not do this for you again for at least 1 month. You have to give it at minimum 1 month. And it's only because I made the mistake that they don't have to make. And I'm very grateful to be able to say that. I am unbelievably grateful to be able to say I made the mistake so they don't have to. I get to be the voice that says, smell the flowers while you heal. Because otherwise, it's not healing, it is fixing, and you're not actually fixing, you're rushing healing. And when you rush healing, you'll end up healed, but still not caught up to yourself, still feeling not quite together yet. And it's because the togetherness comes from your ability to smell the flowers, your ability to have fun. That's the differentiation of being healed or not being healed. It isn't about what we can say we did or who we are. It's about, are we having fun as who we are? Did this allow us to live a more fruitful, healthy, and enjoyable, fun life? And that's what's most important. We can never ignore that the point of healing is to enjoy the healing process. It is a spiritual journey, and you have to enjoy the journey or you will not enjoy the end goal. And a big part of that too is manifesting. For years and years, I've been doing consistent manifestations. It's been very religious in my life. I love manifesting and I love praying. I have my own higher sources I pray to, but I think prayer is unbelievably important. But in prayer, in rushing these manifestations, there wasn't a point where I was actually excited for them to happen. I was expectant, just as I was expectant of my own healing. I was doing the technical solution for what was a very non-technical thing in life. And it didn't ruin it. All of those manifestations are still on their way to finding me. But without my excitement, without my spontaneity, without my play, without me being there and being the one excited for myself, none of them found me until I was ready to be excited for myself. And even then, that's quite a new update in my life. To be excited, I tend to love the technical aspects of life, and I find them fun. I think technicality is a very fun topic. I find plenty of joy and excitement in mastery, in skill building, and in understanding things. But when it comes to healing, there is no understanding. There is no answer. There is no one way we're supposed to be. There is only being. And it's in the technicality that we remove ourselves from this beautiful spectrum of life and restrict ourselves to this very narrow, very strict, and very harsh black and white. There is no rainbows, there is only the way rainbows are made. There is only the explanation, not the appreciation. And it is so unbelievably important to bring in that gratitude, bring in that love, but none of it is going anywhere without the play, without the spontaneity, without the doing it because you love to do it because it is fun. We love things the most when we're having fun, when we are excited, when we are spontaneous. And it is so unbelievably important to always prioritize not our healing, because as soon as we have healing in thought, healing happens. Healing finds us. We are beings of love. We are love and have always been love. Gratitude comes and goes if we keep it near. And if we keep that love near, it does not secure that we're having fun. We need to be the force in life that makes sure we are having fun at every moment. The healing happens whether we look at it or not. The fun, we will avoid it if we stop looking at it. So we need to keep looking at it, keep chasing it, keep enjoying what we know is fun. And that's the beautiful thing. A lot of that is getting in touch with our truest self, our most authentic self. We already know what brings us joy and fun. We just often cope and label that as fun because we're coping, but coping is taking your time. Fun is taking your time. It is smelling the flowers and not coping with the flowers. It's just enjoying them. It is part of that gratitude and love. They really make a beautiful trifecta in that Three of Cups of fulfillment. Relating all of this, furthermore, to not just healing, but all things sacred. There is nothing worse than taking yourself too seriously. Because when it comes to healing, oftentimes when we take ourselves too seriously, it's out of pursuit. We're either running towards something or running towards a fix, and it's trying your best to fix or find or do. When all of that happens when it's supposed to, we need to have fun while it's happening. That should be our number one focus, because everything else will just happen. But when it comes to sacred things, when you take yourself too seriously, not only is that bad for the ego, I mean, it's great for the ego loves it. Not only is it bad for the soul, because that seriousness is the ego identifying strongly with what it's doing. When it identifies that strongly with what it's doing, before you know it, it's something you're holding on to out of risk of losing yourself. you lose the value of it because it is who you are rather than what you choose to do with who you are. Oh, I love wordplay like that. So not just does it feed the ego to take things too seriously, it removes absolutely all the fun and joy. You, of course, need routine and some boundaries. You need guidelines. Not all seriousness is bad, but when the seriousness starts to reject the play is when the seriousness starts taking it too personally because we're identifying too much with it. Your serious self should always be in love with your spontaneous, playful, curious self, because none of this is actually in our control. We identify things with us and us with things to put them in our control, but that doesn't actually make it in our control. It just makes it feel like it's in our control. So ask yourself, does my serious self love and find gratitude in my playful self? And listen to that answer. If it says no, then it is something we're identifying with does not like when we play. Whether it's our own hurt getting in the way, whether it's shame of our child self, or it's not knowing that we can have innocence even as adults. Maybe we weren't taught that ever. As an adult, you can be as innocent as you want to be. Unless it's in the here and now, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't dictate who you are. The here and now dictates who you are and what you choose to do here and now, whether you play or take it seriously. Those are the two options. It's similar to that saying, life is either a tragedy or a comedy, and when each and every moment is the best possible outcome, that means it's our choice. No matter what, each moment is the best outcome. Is it your tragedy or is it a comedy? Is it a blessing or is it a curse? The seriousness is what says it's a curse. And sometimes we need seriousness. There's a back and forth to seriousness and play. But as soon as seriousness creates a dominance, life becomes a curse because there is no room for play. And don't get me wrong, on the other side, with the play, life becomes meaningless without a bit of seriousness, without a bit of that driving purpose of knowing who we are. It's rather aimless. It might be fun, but it doesn't guide us. It's almost a sense of being lost. And it's important that we ask our playfulness what it thinks of our seriousness. What does my playful self think of my serious self, I ask myself. And listen to the answer. Your body loves to talk to you. When you quiet the mind and you listen, whether it's through a feeling, a thought, a voice, or a vision, listen. Just to give an example, my silly, fun self doesn't like my serious self. It's because my serious self drags it along when all my silly self wanted to do was smell the flowers. My silly self reminds me that everything comes exactly when it must because I have no control. But my serious self reminds me, even though we have no control, we must still be focused. And it's about befriending yourself from both ends. My serious self is getting what it wants, just not when it wants it. My playful self needs to understand there isn't always time for play, but there is enough time for play that it deserves to be fed nonetheless. While these forces seem to inherently butt heads, it is important that we find a way for them to befriend each other. My playful self doesn't actually dislike my serious self. It quite loves it. And my serious self quite loves my silly self. They're just finding ways to navigate the world. And it's through spontaneity that they learn. It's through spontaneity of serious goals that things just happen. They come into fruition. With both of these aspects, manifestation just simply works. We know what we want, and we trust in having fun on the way there. We trust in the journey. It was never about the goal, it's just about knowing what goal exists. Because as soon as we hit a goal, each step we took there, as soon as we hit it, we start taking steps away. Goals don't last forever, and there is no winning phase. There is only walking away or walking towards. And that's where the playfulness is important. It was never about the goal, even if we still need goals. When it comes to sacred ceremony and prayer, always feel free to laugh. It's a very common occurrence with sex magic and dealing with cosmic life force in Kundalini that people get the uncontrollable urge to just laugh. And that's joy. That's playfulness. That is what it is supposed to all be about. When it's not about us and our body or them and their body, it suddenly becomes about just it. Because of course there's still an objective. There's still the magic you're doing. They're still connecting. But that connection is formed over the journey. Through the laughter, through the fun, through the silliness. And that silliness is what creates life. Life is a serious thing until you realize how silly it can be. It's all goofy. It's important to learn how to detach and breathe and process. The best medicine truly is laughter. It'll help us heal. We just have to make time for the laughter in our healing. Whether you're in a very sacred ceremony or whether you're in church, no matter what sacred thing you're doing, if there is no fun, it can't actually be that sacred. Because sacred joy is found through sacred fun, and sacred fun is found through spontaneous silliness. That spontaneity comes from gratitude, love, and play. So whether you're meditating, whether you're praying to a god, incorporate all three. One of my favorite methods of worshiping gods, my guides specifically, I shake my ass for them. I dance for them. I don't just dance with them in mind or for a sacred purpose. I dance because I get to have fun and share that energy. I shake my ass for them because it's me cherishing, being grateful for my body, loving what it can do, and being playful with it. For them, it's for me. But in doing it for me, I do it for them. So the next time you create art, the next time you dance, the next time you pray, or the next time you meditate, take the time to remind yourself to only do it with fun. Don't take yourself too seriously, because the fact that you're doing it is serious enough. Enjoy what you do, for it is not a tragedy, it is not a curse. It isn't even always a blessing. It is just something we get to do with gratitude, love, and play. I'm going to end this episode here. I hope you enjoyed. I wasn't able to focus too much on my drawing. I had too much fun wrapping myself around this topic. I started a quick sketch of a human head with a bit of skull fragment shining through. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you are interested in learning how to start seeing energy, or you want to see your own energy, or if you want any free resources from free tarot reads made by me, that Polygon Sigilism script, or any of the above, feel free to visit my website, guidedbyclarity.com. And to that, I bid adieu. Have a blessed day. Goodbye.